Okay, I guess it's time we're gonna go old school in the near future, and we are about to go punching crime in the face. This is Arkham Twin Days! Hi there, viewers. I'm Leo Wolverine. I am your game commentator and founding member of Leo's Let's Plays Alliance. So, I'm going to explain another different topic to you about, which is besides the diet and exercise. So, this is about something to do what Batman has learned, if you want to know. So, I'm guessing the learning point. So, how does Batman, or should I say, Bruce Wayne, acquires this so much vast knowledge in his mind with so many books? His mind is like a bookworm. He is so smart. His IQ is off the charts to that of Tony Stark, and not to mention Albert Einstein. Of course, Albert Einstein would be so proud of him if he were alive. He would call him a genius. So, where does Batman learn all this kinds of stuff? And I know some of you guys out there saying, oh, come on. I know Batman is Batman a superhero, nerdy type of style like Peter Parker as Spider-Man? Sort of. But he's more of the brutal Batman or whatsoever, if you happen to notice. So the kind of knowledge that he does learn is, I would say, I'm going to say this, and this is just only based on my opinion, but I'm pretty sure I could be wrong, but I have been wrong before, but I can't be 100%. So for this, I would say he has learned about the arts of science. Yes, the arts of science. He has learned physical science. He learned the periodic table of the elements. How is radiation is bad to the human person or some sort, or going to the human skin. So he knows that the number 82, proton number 82, is the strongest way to block out radiation, and that would be lead. That's right. Anything that's 83 or higher is completely unstable, for he has learned the periodic table of the elements of physical science. And also he learns about Newton's law. Newton's law, Sir Isaac Newton, where he dropped the apple where gravity falls goes into high speed, which the apple falls very far from the tree. So yes, he also learned chemistry. Chemistry as in what kind of mixture of chemicals, or what kind of chemicals that is water made of, for example. H2O, hydrogen, and oxygen. So H2O is something simple for everybody who knows. Or there is carbon dioxide, also known as CO2. And there's carbon trioxide, which is CO3. Of course, I doubt it's out somewhere around. Of course, carbon dioxide, a CO2, is a person who breathes out of the air. When they breathe in the air of oxygen. Breathe out, you're breathing out carbon dioxide that's coming out of your breath. So, yes, your own breath, morning breath, where you brush your teeth every morning. And also he knows the elements of course, the elements of the periodic table, about the alcohol, and not to mention alkaline and alkenes. Of course, definitely he knows his stuff. He also learns basic math, and not to mention algebra. Very smart on algebra because since the Arabs know algebra so well, of course Batman has something to do when he goes back to the Middle East and learns all this different kinds of stuff. I know, besides the food eating and so on and so on and so forth. He also learns about the ways of philosophy. You know, like the Greek scholars, like Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, all that. He traveled across the world, all the way to Greece, to learn about know thyself. So think of this like how to know thyself better than anyone else. So he learns basic reading. Of course, he knows how to read. If he knows how to read, he also knows about basic English. He studies multiple languages as he possibly could. He learned the Slavic languages. He learned Russian. He learned Bulgarian. He learned Belarusian. He learned Macedonian. He learned Croatian. He learned Slovene. Of course, yes, Slovene. He knows the Slavic languages, Ukrainian languages, any kind of Slavic languages that's, you know, in the Cyrillic alphabet. And others, like, those are not in the Cyrillic alphabet for Bruce Wayne, of course. And since he was fascinated, he wants to know something more about these languages that can definitely help him an edge for those who try to not understand the language barrier. And that might confuse some people, who knows? So, yeah. He learned all this kind of stuff. He learns Czech. He learns German. He learns... I know it's not a Slavic language, but German is German. So, yeah, he learns French, Portuguese, Chinese, Japanese, Malay, even languages from even languages in Africa and some other African countries he knows of, including words like Spanish and Italian. That's right, Italiano. So yes, all the languages he has to learn is to help him keep on learning. Is to make him really smart. Of course, usually sometimes the crooks do not want to learn because they thought learning is for babies, which is not. Because thugs like these guys right here, as you can see that Batman is beating up, are not so smart of the language barrier, even though they only understand thug speech. And for that, it's just a very shameful way to make your teacher giving you a failing grade. So yeah, that is possible for anybody to... For a thug not understand. It's just, wow, it's possibly understandable. So, since he has to learn that many languages from across the countries, he has to learn, oh my gosh, I would say economics. He has to learn economics as quickly as he possibly could. Well, you know, economics, whether it's home economics, something to do, he learns about cooking, he learns about the philosophies, he learns about the history books, about what's happening from how the Americas were born, and how people were from other countries came from, people from other nationalities came from. Sorry, I gotta be more specific. So Batman traveled all around the world to learn all the things he can possibly possess. He has to learn the uses of magic, even though he doesn't have any magical powers. And he was taught by Zatanna or Zatara, I can't remember the name. So yes, it's pretty obvious from what is worth. He has to be an escape artist. He has to perform a masterpiece. He has to learn the masters of art, like calligraphy. Of course, martial arts skills and all that. He also learned something else. I would say he would learn a great deal of, math, economics. He also does, catches up all of his studies like academic support. And he also does a bunch of detective work. He has to learn fingerprint. He has to learn about the data of fingerprinting. He has to learn the ID identifications of who are the people who are missing, the people who how to identify a specific type of clues that helps him to build as the world's greatest detective. He has to learn all kinds of knowledge. Even though that knowledge that exists far beyond the reaches of the solar system, he has to learn that too as well. I would say others important to learn more about vast knowledge. Of course, Batman is like the bookworm because he knows how to get the surrounding fields of an area. Sometimes he has to work with DNA analysis of how does this person connected to all of this and how does this work. And so for that matter, he also learned about automobile mechanics, about the body parts of the engine, the inside of automobiles, about where does it go. It also learns about the human anatomy, if you want to know, about the basic points of where the muscles meet, and not to mention the nervous system, the skeletal system, and the muscular system. Plus, he also learned about the digestive system. In other words, he has to learn this kind of vast knowledge that puts into his psyche. And so, once he got all of that down, he is able to learn everything what he wants to know. He also learned about information technology. Yes, Batman. Information technology, computer networking, computer electronics, technical computer drafts and design, and not to mention technical supports of all that from what he knows of this lifestyle, especially how to make your own special ability of a drone tech, flying drone. Of course, he had to learn something that would do with his hacking skills, something that a thief would do. Even though you have to be a computer genius to send, to program a virus to send it straight into a computer. And so he learned all of that with all the technology he knows that makes it worth his while. With the technology combined, such as the Batmobile, the combination of the car with the tank and the computerized networks that were online, with over several satellites lining up in his range that's above the Earth's atmosphere, so up top of Gotham City and Metropolis. That's right, Metropolis, of course. Oh boy. He also worked on the specialized apps. Of course, he does how to read the scrolls, which is whether it's yes, he can actually understand Egyptian words, even though he wants to go to Egypt and see what's going on about these hieroglyphs. Yeah, the nerdy Batman and muscular knows how to build his street smarts. It is very clever. He is so clever and so smart that any thug would not be able to comprehend by saying, I don't get it. And why do they do not get it? It's because they kind of failed at school. And for that, with all the information he knows that's lodged directly into his brain, his IQ is so off the charts. He also loves the game of chess. I mean, he doesn't play games, but he does know how to read an opponent's moves like a game of chess and checkers. He has to make sure how to plan one step ahead, and he also tried to plan more than just one step ahead. He does planning 3 or 4 steps ahead. Batman, of course, also known, Bruce Wayne, who is the Batman. He also wanted to be a fast race car driver because he loves going fast tracking, and he does love something to do with explosives. So he invented something with non-lethal weapons, like the explosive gel. I mean, of course, it's a non-explosive. Of course, it can blow up through through glass and woods with walls. Of course, the ceilings that are completely cracked, that can be used as something. And also the technical gadgets like the line launcher, because all of that rock climbing and exercise from what he did to pull it off. And his marksmanship when he throws his batarangs. And not to mention his aiming capabilities of how to fire directly at it and not to miss. I mean, he hardly misses, of course. And how would he provide this type of bat suit to provide the better and more covered protection, or without increased weight? I would say possibly Kevlar with Kevlar-based bi-weave reinforced joints, because the armor he can wear, because the armor he is wearing, that this sucker of the bat suit would stop a knife, and it can protect him from gunshot bullets. So snipers can be really difficult to tell. So anything but a straight shot. Oh boy, that's a lot of vast knowledge for Batman to learn. He also has to read and write Chinese, Japanese, and Korean, of course, because where he learned this, I'm guessing Thailand, because since he does Muay Thai and Thai kickboxing, he has to learn those, of course. I mean, what else you're going to have to do with the Batman? Not only he's best at martial arts skills, he's best at learning, he's best at what he do on economics, he knows chemistry, physical science, vast physical science about things that are unstable molecules. He also knows about the solar system, that what is this stuff is made of, if you want to know. So yes, Batman is the ultimate tool. To stop bad guys who are committing crimes, and for those who don't know what to do, or should I say, not as smart as he is, and not as bodybuilt as he is as the Lean Machine. If you want to be building a Lean Machine, you gotta be tough. He also has to try to hide emotional and physical pain. Even though he does hide the emotional pain so well, he does hide the physical pain, but he can definitely, of course he does hide the physical pain, but he knows he can't, even though he does kind of show it, it doesn't help do well, but unless the pain works with him instead of against him. So 2 types of physical pain he has to learn is interior and exterior. So exterior pain is the stuff that we can control. Interior pain is the other kind that we can control. That would be our thoughts, which is our minds. To reach out with your mind, as in reach out with your feelings, you know, like in a Jedi sense type Padawan, which is Star Wars if you think about it. And usually he does with these deep breathing exercises. So all the vast knowledge, Batman's physical mind is like a one big giant library. He knows about basically everything. He also knows about the cults or any type of base religion, of course. Of course, he has to learn this vast of information. He does all this detective work. He has to learn this and that. He has to learn fingerprint identification, the identification on people's faces, DNA analysis, something to do with on the field, and not to mention medical science as well. You know, people who work in hospitals, of course. And not to mention military grade weapons and armor and interference generators, power turbines, and all that source of lifestyle. His mind is like light years, I would say light years or years, or I would say about a decade over a person's mind well-being of the present. And I do believe we are going to stop here for the time being, because this was an interesting topic for me to tell you guys. So yeah, I do believe that should be it. And thanks for watching. And don't forget to like, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And tell me, what do you guys think of Arkham Twin Days? Because this is an interesting topic for me to tell otherwise, because I've never done this kind of topics before until now. So for anyways, this is Leo Wolverine, and saying and speaking as always as your sensational Dark Knight and Super Saiyan who takes chances, makes mistakes, and get messy in Leo's Let's Plays Alliance. Godspeed, play safe, and shalom! Remember, the Dark Knight is always watching you. See you guys next time for more of next week of Arkham Twin Days.